What up, what up? This is the Athletic Hockey Show. It is May 20th, 2026. I am Sean Gentili. I am here as I tend to be with Sean McIndoe and Frank Corrado. Today on the show, we're going to talk Final Four. We're going to talk Adam Foote, I would imagine. Just talk about the various dealings of the Vegas Golden Knights, because it's been an interesting couple of days for them, as it always tends to be. But first, boys, hello. How are we?
We're good, man. How are we feeling about the grind of the playoffs? Gentili, you're back on the road.
Yeah.
Hey, collecting those free breakfasts.
Yeah, I'm, it really is. I've said this before, but in terms of physical exertion and, pushing through exhaustion, it really is the plight of a media guy is pretty similar. I would imagine this is how, Alex Newhook feels right now or something, probably pretty close.
You need a sports science department.
Are we going to get to the end of the playoffs and only then will we find out what you were dealing with? Like, will you just release it all? Be like, I had a blister.
It's some minor gastro issues caused by eating, free scrambled eggs for
not having
consecutive days.
In 6 weeks. Yeah.
Powered through the lounge at the Raleigh Sheraton being closed earlier than they said it would be. It's fine. We all have things that we're dealing with.
I as soon as you talk about those powdered eggs that you get, I could taste it in my mouth, and it's not a good thing. It's not something you want to taste.
It's so rough. I could, whenever all this is over, I could have a comprehensive review of all the free breakfasts I've eaten over the course of the 3 or 4 rounds or whatever it turns out to be.
Hey, you're getting free breakfast, and I bet you know who's not paying for a meal in Montreal anytime soon?
Look at him go.
Give it
to me. Who is it?
Grade A Corrado segue, baby. He's in Conn Smythe form. Alex Newhook, man. Let's start with that, because I know it happened on Monday night, but we haven't talked, so who cares? There were signs that someone like Alex Newhook, maybe Alex Newhook specifically, was gonna be the guy. Like you know what I mean? Like it's been a weird run for him. He's not any kind of, hasn't been a reliable offensive producer over the course of his career, let's say, but they were going to need someone like that to step up, and it was him. So how surprised are we, that he was the guy on a scale of 1 to 10? Because it was always going to be somebody.
I'm probably like a 6.5 or a 7.
That sounds right.
Okay, but keep in mind, Alex Newhook is an important player for them because after the big 4 up front with Suzuki, Slavkovsky, Caulfield, and Demidov, who's the next best forward? I mean, it is Alex Newhook.
Him? Yeah.
I think it is. It could be Kirby Dach. It at times has been Kirby Dach, but on paper today, it's Alex Newhook, and he got off to the best offensive start of his career this season before he had a really nasty fractured ankle in a game back in November where he goes hard into the boards. He misses 5 months. And when he came back, you watched him skate and you're like, he's lost his superpower a little bit. Because if Alex Newhook can do anything, it's fly around the ice. And in the playoffs, he's found that. And he's found some goal-scoring touch. And he's just he's overcome a lot this season with the injury, and for me, he's an important player on that team. He's at the top of the next tier of forwards within that group.
He is, but let's keep in mind, this is a guy who's never had 20 goals. He's never had 40 points. Yeah, he was on pace. This year, if he hadn't been hurt, maybe this would have been the year. But there really is no track record of dominance here. He's been He's a valid NHL player that any good team can find a spot in the lineup for. But in the last month of the playoff run, but certainly in that Sabres series, he just elevated and became something else. And maybe sometimes you see this and it's somebody announcing that they've arrived at the next level, and they stay there. And sometimes it's just this guy had a 2-week hot streak at the absolute best time. And ultimately, right now, if you're a Habs fan, you don't care either way. Because, like Frankie said, you're lining up to buy him a meal. buy him a pop, and you don't care if this is, there's no real or not real or any of that stuff in the playoffs. Somebody's got to get it done.
It happened. Like
it happened.
He's banked.
He got
he's
it done.
banked all this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they needed it too. Like the Suzuki line at 5-on-5, getting caved in a little bit, right? And they're 9-3. They're winning Newhook's minutes 9-3, 57% expected goal share. Like this is necessary stuff given the issues that Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky have had at 5-on-5. Which is and it's funny. It's a reverse of what made Montreal, and this is the biggest reason to believe in them. I think against Carolina is that they're winning games, with guys stepping up in a way that they didn't during the regular season. And I know Newhook had been good at points, but like this was a team that was fueled by the Suzuki line, and that they've been bad. They've lost their minutes and like dramatically any way you want to slice it. So if they were going to make it to this point with those guys playing the way that they've played, it was going to take the Newhooks and the Demidovs and the Jake Evans, like that layer, that next layer of production was gonna have Bolduc. Obviously, that those guys are gonna have to step up at some point.
And so what's funny? Like calling all their games or a lot of their games this season, there was two kind of roster flaws that you saw. It was the goaltending was a huge issue, and they had a point in the season where both Dobish and Montembeault get pulled in the same game, and they call up Jacob Fowler in a bit of a panic move after because they don't think those two guys can get it done. Well, now Dobish is playing lights out, and then as far as the way the roster was constructed, like they had a bit of a gaping, like pretty much a gaping hole in the middle six where they lacked a true like number 2 center. And Doc was either like injured or not playing great. Bolduc went really quiet for a long period of time. Newhook was hurt. And so that takes a lot away from your middle six. Well, now Dobish is playing great. Middle six has the right guys there. And it looks and feels different. And they've overcome their top line. Let's call it for what it is. Their top line's been getting caved in at 5-on-5.
8-1 outscored, 43% expected goal share. Like this is not like we're at the point now where you feel good if you're Montreal that you've made it this far with those guys playing the way that they have, but it's gonna have to change. Like congrats to the second line for floating them, right? Like that's a necessary bit of business. But if that keeps going against Carolina, they're gonna have a bad time. Like it needs a shift.
This is the glass half full, half empty thing that we can do for a lot of teams at this time of year. Once you've made it through, the first line for Montreal has not been good. So how do you want to look at that? You can look at it and say, if these guys aren't fully on their game against Carolina, forget it. You're not going to be able to get by a team as good as the Hurricanes without those guys going. That's the pessimist view. The optimist view is, hey man, first line hasn't really even shown up at even strength, at least in the playoffs yet, and we're already 2 rounds in. We've already beat a couple of real good teams. What's going to happen? Guys like that, at lines that are that good with players that good, don't typically go cold for 2 straight months. They're gonna warm up eventually. And the interesting thing is, you can kind of, to a lesser extent, but you can kind of tell the same story in Carolina, where
Absolutely.
the first, Aho and that, like they've been okay. They're not putting up great numbers. Sebastian Aho's got 4 points, and 2 of those are empty net goals. He hasn't been great.
They're not getting
scored.
They're not getting scored on, right? Like like they're losing their minutes 1-0. Like territorially, it's been bad. Yeah. They've got 2 5-on-5 goals between them. We're talking about Jarvis, Aho, and Svechnikov. Like the Stankoven line has been it's the reason they are where they are, right? So it's funny. They're mirror images, I think, in a weird way.
Is this what this series comes down to? Is which first line wakes up first?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And maybe it's that simple.
You know what I find fascinating about this is, the Carolina Hurricanes, we know them for being a team that, flies pucks into the neutral zone, chips them out, forechecks hard. And right now, if you look at what's kind of making them successful, they're incredibly dangerous off the rush. Like
Yep.
they're the best rush team so far in the playoffs. They're generating like over 8 chances per game, which is ranked number 1. And Montreal's had a really hard time defending the rush. Like we saw that against the Sabres. It was an issue for them, especially with defensemen that are getting up in the play. So the thing that you traditionally know Carolina for doesn't worry me for Montreal as much, because it's a mobile group of defensemen for Montreal that will go back and be able to kind of handle pressure and move pucks. But I worry about this newfound offense off the rush for the Hurricanes more than I do what kind of, usually is the trademark of Carolina Hurricanes hockey. It feels
completely
weird
because they have elements on all 3 lines that can contribute on the rush. Like you have Ehlers playing on the 3rd line with Stahl and Martinook, adds a dimension there that they've never had, and he's playing with those guys. You got Stankoven and Hall who are both good in that area on the second, and then the first line's the first line. Like they were obviously more rush based than most Carolina lines have been over the last bunch of years. So it is like that is 100% something we need to keep in mind, or that the public at large needs to keep in mind going into this series, because we haven't seen the Carolina Hurricanes a lot in these playoffs. It's been 8 games, right? Everyone wants to think that this is grit and grind and forecheck and whatever else. We had an idea of the way this team plays. It's kind of changed, and it's because they've added enough talent in that top 9 where they really can. Like Frankie said it, the most rush chances per game in the playoffs is the Carolina Hurricanes. Like imagine if you would have said that 3 years ago when it was Jack Drury is their 2C or whatever. Like things have changed, and we need to kind of roll with that. I'm not sure people have realized it necessarily.
Well, and they're in a position, Sean, where they don't have to force feed Kotkaniemi into the lineup because they just have to. They don't anymore. They're a deeper team, and so there's a different look. And if anything with Montreal, right? Like sometimes their process doesn't look great, but they found ways to win. And that says a lot about their group, that they can win games against good teams in big moments with their off-speed stuff. But now with Carolina, they're gonna have to wrestle with the fact that Montreal can find that one extra goal when they need it. And Carolina, that's been a bit of a struggle for them when they've played against teams that are pretty potent offensively and can find that extra goal. They haven't been able to. And so now, it feels like it's there for them. It feels like it's different, but they're going to have to execute on it. And the energy shift within this series is going to be very real, right? Like Montreal's playing the higher pace tempo hockey right now, but Carolina's had the day off or the days off. At what point
12.
do we see Carolina just spike up and really take off in this series?
Has there ever been, Sean, like, can you imagine, like, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but like game 1, maybe period 1 of this series is going to determine, look, Montreal is going to have to jump on these guys. There's going to be some amount of rust. I don't know how long it's going to last. It might be a period. It might be 2 periods. Maybe it's a full game. Like they're gonna have to strike while the iron's hot, and they have to win game 1. Period. Like I think it's hard to imagine a world where the layoff doesn't. It's gonna mean something, and Montreal needs the key on it. If they walk out of the arena tomorrow up 1-0, I think it completely changes the complexion of the series. But I also think that if Carolina finds a way to kick off the rust in a few shifts and maybe plays them to a draw after the first 2 minutes, like or the first 20 minutes, then stuff could devolve kind of quickly.
We have this conversation every year in some series where the scheduling plays out that you get the rest versus rust. And which is the advantage and when does it shift? And the conventional wisdom is like you say, the team that has the rest has an advantage in the series as the series goes on, but in the first game, very often the rust hurts more than the rest helps. We've never seen it this extreme before. And I will say there were times against Buffalo where, to me, Montreal looked like a team that was maybe running out of gas a little bit. And that was against a Sabres team that had a was coming off a 6-game series in the first round, so they'd had a bit more rest, but nothing this pronounced. I mean, ultimately, we always hear about how the playoffs are this battle of attrition and everybody's hurt and everybody's feeling it. This is the best case scenario for Carolina as far as being healthy, being rested. But you're right. Like, can they get away with it early on? And especially the guy that I want to see is Freddie Anderson, because he was fantastic. He was having, I mean, he's a good goalie who was having a great stretch in the first 2 rounds. What does 2 weeks off do to a goaltender? I mean, do you come in still hot, or do you just crumple that up and throw it away? I mean, he's had enough time. He could have gone cold for a week and a half and warmed back up, and we'd never know because
they played 8 games in 36 days.
It's crazy. Those guys for Carolina could have gone and played a couple games at the Men's Worlds and flown back and still had practice time. Think about that. And, it's an interesting point because I think a lot of this series ultimately is going to hinge on Freddie. Like, how good he is, but also, in the past, there's been times where Freddie has been hurt in opportune moments. And if anything, this time off should really help Freddie, right? Like, this is a goaltender whose workload has had to have been managed the last few years. Like, when he was in Anaheim late in his tenure there, but especially in Toronto early in his tenure there, he was a workhorse, man. He was 60-plus starts, and he was not playing Carolina Hurricanes type goaltending. He was playing you're feeling it kind of hockey, because there was a lot of warts with those Toronto teams early on, and he had to play behind that. So if anything, the time off really helps Freddie. But I could tell you guys from like personal experience, there's a couple different things. Anytime in the regular season where you've had like an all-star break, or for some reason you had more than one day off in a row, your first couple times back on the ice, you feel it a little bit. Like you feel lethargic and you don't quite feel like you're in that rhythm. But then the days after that, you find that like everything really spikes up pretty dramatically. And even like, this is the second part is, summer training. There's a lot of programs that give you like a deload week where you basically take the week off. You can still do some minor activity, but you're not lifting and you're not doing anything really, really meaningful. And when you come back from that week, you'll notice like the first few days back, you don't quite feel as good as when you left. But after that, your numbers crush everything you were doing prior to leaving. And so that's where I think we got to see with Carolina, is that game 2? Is that game 3? And in the meantime, like, can Montreal take advantage of it and get a jump in game 1 and put some goodwill in the bank and bank a win? Because if they don't do that early, it's going to be even more difficult as the series goes on. And especially, I don't know what you guys think, but going back to the Bell Center, great atmosphere, fans are nuts. They just can't win there. It's crazy that they can't win there right now.
That is, by the way, my workout strategy. What you just described,
very familiar.
I'm taking a 35-year break, and then when I get back at it, look out.
You're just like knock off the rust in a few days. You'll be
exactly. What do we think is happening with in Montreal with their home record?
It's a good question,
because you're right. I mean, it looks amazing. Like I mean, game 6. I guess when Larry Robinson came out and he lights the rink and everything, I was like, "Oh, this series is over." Montreal.
It was one of those. That was one of those things where I would love to be able to say that like the environment in Montreal is a little bit overrated and blah blah blah. It's not. It ain't. And it's good stuff like the Larry Robinson sequence at the start of that game happens. Right? It's crazy.
And they come out flying. So I mean, it's not like And yet, the record is what it is. Now, small sample size. They're playing good teams. It might just be that simple. But sometimes, even if a thing isn't a thing, it can become a thing. You know what I mean?
Like the Sean McIndoe story, yes.
Yeah. So, and if they come, especially, they come back down 2-0 or something like that, which is obviously pretty plausible. Given how good this Carolina team's playing, does that start to weigh in? Do they start getting the questions about it? Do they start thinking, oh, geez, we got to go in this building. Or, is it one of those, like so many of the narratives that we love to spin in the playoffs, are we just one shift away from forgetting about it altogether and then
I
go
feel
in
like
a completely different direction?
We honestly very well could be. But you know what? Like, if you've ever think to your personal lives or your careers, right? If you've ever had something happening where you say, I'd love to just fly under the radar here a little bit. Like, we've all said it before.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Habs go on the road, relatively speaking to what's going on at home, they can fly under the radar. I'm not talking about like being bugged at restaurants or anything like that. I'm just talking about like in the game, the environment at the arena. You're going in, it's a business trip. You get in, you get out, you try and get a win, and you move on. Whereas at home, it's a grand spectacle. And there's no flying under the radar. You're the show. There's all eyes on you. Like you have this, you carry it around that you don't want to let these people down because they've been there for you and they are showing up for you. And that adds something a little bit extra that when, you've talked about the starts, it just at some point it gets to you and it's easier to make mistakes because it's one more thing that you're thinking of. It's maybe it's a bad excuse. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I feel like
I think
that's how I make sense of it.
It accounts for the fact that these are human beings who are thrown in crazy situations, right? And the flip side of that narrative, as it relates to the Canadiens, is that they've turned into road dogs. Like they go into Buffalo, they handle business there, right? I wanted to talk about the team that they beat in the second round, just for a second. It's a devastating loss for Buffalo. Clearly, if you have a Sabres fan in your life, reach out, give them,
which you do,
give them a hug. They're probably still not doing too well. What do we think of that, of the season that they put together on a macro scale? Yes, devastating end, but it seems also very difficult to not view this as a tremendous leap forward.
It is a tremendous leap forward, but now the biggest challenge is, how do they not let that become a one-hit wonder? Like, are we just guaranteeing that the Buffalo Sabres show up next year and they're the exact same team? Because I don't know if it's a formality. I think it's great what they did this year. It wasn't just a 3-week stretch. There was, and they changed the way they did a lot of things. They defended better. They kind of managed games way better. Their goaltending was really good in the regular season, which made a big difference for them. But you're counting on a lot of things to happen again that have happened for 6 months. And so now, like that, I think there's still a little bit of like a mindset there where they need to say, this is our new standard, and we don't sink below this anymore. And that's going to be, that's going to be something that they have to really believe in coming back next year.
Yeah, I feel like we spent so much of this year since December, since they made the GM change and heated up. You're talking about, man, what a great season. You're talking about magic. You're talking about destiny. All of these great things. And it's fantastic. It's an amazing experience to be a fan of a team having one of those seasons where just everything feels like it clicks. Not to say it was perfect, not to say they didn't have any adversity, but that just one of those seasons where just the wind is at your back. But then you get to the end of it and you go, okay, is this gonna carry over to next year? Or how much of this is a case of this is just one of those years where everything clicked and it still took us to the second round, and it was great, and we made memories, and the fan base needed it, and it's a jolt of life for the organization. There's no way to spin it as a negative. It was all positive, but was it so positive that it's going to be hard to sustain going into next year? And do you end up looking back at this as a missed opportunity because it really did feel like the hockey gods had your back for once?
My greatest fear for the Buffalo Sabres is that this is a Pittsburgh Pirates kind of season in 2013, 2014, and 2015. And people who paid attention to baseball back then, or who are stuck being Pirates fans, will know it was 25 years of complete incompetence and endless losing that culminated with this run that they made in 2013. They win the wild card game, end up losing in the first round. But there was always that sinking kind of feeling that that was going to be as good as it got, and it was for a variety of reasons. They ran bad luck. They ran into Jake Arrieta the next year in the wild card game. I can remember it like it was yesterday. And then it was a 3-year run, and then it was over. Like, that needs to be the concern, and that is, and there are people out there, by the way, that are stuck as Sabres and Pirates fans. So they're throwing up right now. But
they just that needs to be lost a Game 7. Like, talk about kicking them when they're down.
I'm sorry,
every Sabres
man.
fan thought that Newhook goal was going to be their worst moment of the week. Now they get called the Pittsburgh Pirates. Like,
here, hold on. I'll add one more. Yarmo's there. Right? So Yarmo's got to put his footprint or his fingerprints on this team, right? Yarmo traded for Logan Stanley and Luke Shen, and he gave up Isaac Rosine and Jacob Bryson and picks, and guess who didn't play in Game 7? Or Game 6? Luke Shen and Logan Stanley. So he's going to put his fingerprints on the team. You have to hope that he makes better decisions than the ones he made, clearly, because those guys you gave up a lot for did not play in elimination games when your season was on the line.
And by the way, Yarmo was the GM in Columbus when they had that great run to the second round when they beat Tampa and
never leveled up.
weren't really able to sustain it going forward. So,
anyways, great season, Buffalo.
Yeah, sorry,
a lot to be
Buffalo.
proud of. Tons of positivity.
Wow,
it was all sunshine and rainbows. It's going to be good next year. We believe.
We need to get out into a break before we drive these people even even closer to the edge. We're talking Western Conference when we're back. Stick around. All right, we're back. Boys, we have hockey tonight after one day without it. The Western Conference Finals is starting. It's Vegas. It's Colorado. Tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. That's on ESPN in the States. Matt can do. Let's start with you. What's your initial thought going into this series? The way I framed all of this on my end is like, what would have to happen for Vegas to win this, and what would have to go wrong for Colorado? Because it does to some extent feel like that's what's gonna have to happen.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see, how do I phrase this in a way that doesn't come across dismissive or I want to see Vegas against an elite team, and we haven't seen that yet. Through 2 rounds, they've played Utah and Anaheim, 2 good teams, playoff-worthy teams, but not teams that anybody had real high on their Stanley Cup list, even going into the playoffs. And full credit to Vegas. Hey, you win your division, even when it's a weak division, the way the format works, you're going to get matchups that, in theory, you should be able to win, and you still got to do it. You still got to take care of business. They did. So no issue with that. But this is a whole different animal they're going up against now. And I really want to see, if they can hang, because this was a team that was good during the regular season. The Knights, they weren't great. Maybe you throw that out. Maybe you say this is the John Tortorella version and we only judge them on that. But this is, they haven't faced anyone like the Avalanche yet. They haven't faced anyone remotely close. So I want to see. I feel like, Game 1 never tells you everything, but it's going to give us a pretty good indication of whether we got a real series on our hands or not.
It tells you something for sure. And you're right, the Torts thing is real. William Karlsson being in the lineup is something that can be a difference maker. But I think if you're looking at this, you're looking at the Colorado Avalanche, who score more than anybody, who have now found a little something on their power play, because the power play is 25% in the playoffs, and it was dreadful in the regular season. So the team that was already firing is firing even more. And for Vegas, I wonder how they approach this, because, we've talked about this before, but there's 2 ways you can try and play against Colorado. There's the way where you say we're going to clog things up, and we're going to have to force McKinnon and Natchez to skate through multiple layers, and hopefully within one of those layers, we'll slow them down. Or you try and play really up on them and say, we're going to go at you the same way you're going to come at us, and that's going to be our way of mitigating your top guys. I wonder if Vegas has the foot speed to do it. I don't think they have the blue line and the mobility to do it that way. So I think they're going to have to resort to trying to clog things up, and that's going to result in Colorado having the puck a lot, and ultimately Vegas having to really lean on Carter Hart.
I think loss in the shuffle of the Ducks series too, because it ended up being relatively short. Mark Stone, still hurt, and he didn't practice yesterday. No update there. That certainly doesn't bode well for his game 1 chances. Let's say they get him back in game 3 or whatever. I don't know that gives them enough runway to get this done because, like, look, we know that Mark Stone's going to be hurt for some amount of time during the regular season. That's just the way it is. He's going to play 60 games, that's life with that dude in the lineup. Still, just a remarkably effective, important player for them. A huge defensive value. But also, he scored 1.46 all situations goals per 60 this year, which that's 23rd in the league. Like, that's like Tage Thompson, Connor McDavid, Leon. They are getting, but between the power play and 5-on-5, they're getting high level offensive production from that dude still, and it gets lost in the shuffle because his counting numbers are always low because he misses a certain amount of time. So he's scoring at that rate and producing at that rate while also being one of the most impactful defensive forwards in the league too. Still. And that's a guy who, for what, again, credit to the Ducks. It's cool. It's cool that they won a series this year. That's a 92-point team. That's that you can get away with not having Mark Stone in your lineup against. Ain't the case with the Colorado Avalanche. And if he misses 2 games and then comes back and is at whatever 65, 80, with some lesser version of the guy that we've come to expect, at least when he's in the lineup, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, we always say, when is he going to be back? What is he going to be back?
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to get from him? And because it's all hands on deck against a team as good as Colorado, and that's going to be a big piece of it. The other injury that I want to watch is Cale Makar, because he hasn't missed games, but he's hurt. He was it looked against Minnesota at the end there. I mean, it looked like his shoulder was falling out on every shift that he took. So they've had almost a week off. We don't know what was wrong with him. Sometimes a week off is maybe all you need to get back to at least playoff healthy. And sometimes a week off doesn't help you at all. And you're just playing through it, and you're just holding it together with duct tape, and you're trying to muscle through. We know, Makar, barring some sort of real big surprise, is going to be in the lineup. How big a target is on him? And Frankie, what is it like? I mean, when you played, you were kind of the Cale Makar of most of the teams you were on. Did you have that
under 13 hockey for sure?
There you go.
Yeah.
Did you have that target on your back? Did you ever have a series or something where you knew, like, man, they're really coming after me, and does that change anything, or do you just kind of throw up your hands and go, I'm going to get hit, whatever happens, I still got to play the way I'm supposed to play?
In all seriousness, like, we're joking around, but like when I was in the minors, I was like an up and coming prospect with
you're joking around. Hold on. This is not me and Sean slagging you. This is like you were downplaying your own achievements. Like, well,
okay.
I would do no such thing.
I appreciate that.
Not me.
When
I'm not going to let you talk about Frankie that way. Jesus Christ.
I was good at under 13, bad at under 15, good again at under 16 because I hit puberty finally. So that was my key to victory there.
Congrats.
But in the minors, in the playoff run that we had in Utica, where we went to the finals, we lost to Manchester, and you're like a 21-year-old kid who's like a more, let's call it, highly touted prospect who has played NHL games. And I like to get up in the rush a lot at that time, right? And so I felt like I was getting hit all the time. And I played that playoff run with a separated shoulder that happened in round 1 and a broken bone in my hand that I had to take 5 games off of. And then I went back to freezing it when I came back in the lineup. So I was banged up, and I just came to the realization that I was going to get hit every time. And so I had to kind of try and think a little bit ahead of what was happening, because I couldn't rely on, bouncing off guys or taking hits. So it kind of meant that I was doing less. Like, I was doing less with the puck and trying to simplify things a little bit more, and I didn't play overly well. Now, how does that affect Cale Makar? Cale Makar, when he's feeling his best, he's an absolute force, and he does things with and without the puck that, like, only very few guys in the NHL or in the world can do. So if you bring him back down to like some kind of a regular level, he's more gettable. And, we'll see what the week off does. It should help at least a little bit. But that's very much something to keep an eye on. The other thing that I think is fascinating about this series, and it might not be overly evident, but it's one of those things that you'll chip away at as the series goes on, is the matchup down the middle of the ice. Like Vegas down the middle, like Eichel, Hertl, Carlson, Dowd. Can you find me a group of 4 that are more like responsible away from the puck than those 4 guys? Like if you were ever going to find something to kind of cling on to, if you're Vegas, you're like, we can win that matchup. What does that look like in the grand scheme of things? That remains to be seen. But that's an area where they could have an edge that they could grab onto.
It's two-way play down the middle, and then to go back, going back to Stone, we got to include Mitch Marner in that mix too. Is that those 2 guys add so much defensive responsibility and so much two-way value on the wings that like that's the route I think for Vegas, right? Is that you find some way to play the two-way game in such a way that maybe let's just scratch out some wins, but man, it's gonna be tough. We do need to talk about the Vegas on ice stuff because it's whatever, we can't avoid it because it's always something.
What are they doing?
What's going on over there? Kelly McCrimmon, sorry. that was the takeaway from his pre-series presser yesterday.
He seems super sorry. He really
definitely.
Like, tell it's weighing on him.
Yeah, he voluntarily going to take a polygraph when he says we were wrong. I'm sure he agrees with that statement. The $100,000 fine in the second round pick that they were docked for Tortorella blowing off media responsibilities after Anaheim, that still, and maybe for now, is holding up. I think there's still a sense that I think that if they fly right here over the course of the next few weeks, that could get downgraded a bit. And also the flip side is the Bruce Cassidy stuff, which is still not resolved. Like the NHL Coaches Association's, getting involved a little bit now. They're saying they're monitoring it. Like this is what the other takeaway from McCrimmon yesterday is he's like, basically saying, well, this is the playoffs. We've communicated this to Bruce. Like we want to stay solely focused on that and blah blah blah. So the implication there is like, let's table this until our season ends. Do we buy that? Is there any need for that, or is this just next level spitefulness?
No, it's of course we don't buy that, right? I mean, Kelly McCrimmon's he's focused on the play. What are you doing? What's going? Are your phone ringing? You working on some trades? Kelly, you keeping an eye on the waiver wire?
You would hate to do something that creates a distraction for your team during the postseason, right? So that's why you deny Bruce Cassidy.
This is exactly, they're distraction free right now. I guess he's, maybe he's got a hot UFA deal he's trying to close before game 1. Like, give me a break. And this is part of what's so maddening about it is, look, the Vegas franchise has been It's been, and I say this somewhat complimentary, it's been the dirtbag franchise of this league for a long time, just as far as how they conduct themselves, and it's just winning is all that matters to those guys. And I gotta say, there's a lot of fan bases out there who probably would like a little more of that DNA in their own team of this, we just do whatever it takes to win and screw it, we'll deal with the consequences later. So you can understand it up to a point, but it's like, man, if you're gonna be jerks about everything, at least own it. At least get up there and be like, yeah, here's the deal. Bruce Cassidy's under contract. We're paying him, and we don't have to let anybody talk.
We don't have to do this.
We don't have to.
Right?
Screw the Oilers. Screw the Kings. We don't know if there's other teams out there. Who knows? If it's because they're in your division or they're rivals, or screw everyone. We're just not going to do it. At least own it. Don't get up there and be like, oh, I'm just so busy. I can't take, I don't know what the process is, but I'm guessing it can't be that much longer than writing one email that says,
this is an
go
email.
ahead.
This could all be,
Like, dude, I mean, just take a break from YouTube when you're, sitting on the can for a couple minutes, send off the email and you're good. Or don't do it and own it. But don't, The only thing
Please
worse
don't-
than a
please-
jerk
please
and a
don't-
bully.
Please don't evoke Kelly McCrimmon sitting on the can on this podcast.
The only thing worse than a jerk and a bully is a jerk and a bully who won't even own it and won't and then tries to gaslight you that you're like, oh no, this is just we're just being
Yeah.
we're just handling things.
I honestly think
Screw the Golden Knights.
gaslighting is a term that gets misused and overused. I
Does
think
it
we're
ever?
pretty. I think we're pretty close to it applying to what Vegas
Yeah.
is doing here, and that's what aggravates people. That's what aggravates me. That's probably the best way to put it. It's not just that they're cutthroat and do it that's established. Fine. That's one way to run your organization. Own it. Don't try to convince people that actually this is normal and we're nice and we're not we don't operate in a way that separates us from the rest of the league. Like you do and it's okay, and it's okay. Like the rules are the rules. Like we don't have to pretend that we like you for it. It's fine.
Well, you know what's crazy about all of it is that you have an opportunity to get like $4.5 million in real cash off your payroll with this.
It's crazy.
And you're like, nah, I'd rather pay $4.5 million than let Bruce Cassidy talk to LA or Edmonton just because they're in our division. Like that's how much I'm willing
to pay $4.5 million for Craig Berube to coach the Oilers or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's a price we're willing to pay.
Grab Woodcroft again, or grab Craig Berube, or bring up Colin Chalk from the minors. That's where you're at. Like we'll pay $4.5 million to force you to have to do that. Which I don't know, man. Okay, here's one thing though. I'm gonna sound like a dummy saying this, but there's a reason why you have to ask permission. Just everyone gives you the common courtesy of saying, yeah, no problem, go ahead and talk. These guys are going like full stickler, by the book. And I was kind of thinking about it, like if you were a lawyer or whatever, you would have a non-compete if you were let out of your or fired, and you would have to abide by the non-compete. But in the NHL, no one abides by it except these guys. These are the only guys that are willing to do it. Here's the question I would love to know: what's the most that Foley would pay to not have Bruce Cassidy go to the Edmonton Oilers? Like, would it be 7.5?
Is more than $4.5 million.
Where he's like, if Cassidy was making 7.5, you can talk to him. I won't go higher than that. I would love to know what that number is.
But he's paying it for a few weeks, right? So it's a much, much, much smaller number, and they're just trying to wait. I mean, we all feel like this is directed at the Oilers. This is about waiting out the Oilers, and it's so greasy, and but I'd have like 5% respect for it if they just got up there and said, we don't have to. We don't like the Oilers. They're our number one competition. Bruce Cassidy's a good coach, and we don't want him going to Edmonton. But they don't even have the guts to do that. So they get up there.
Is this that much different in a vacuum before you go into the fact that they're trying to, whatever, feed us crap and make us like the taste? Like, is this that much different from the offer sheet thing? Truly. Like this is a mechanism that's in place. It's legal. It's pretty cut and dry. And when people, whether it's like going back to Dustin Penner or whatever, whenever offer sheets get thrown out there, everyone's like, "Great, this is a mechanism you're allowed to use. Who cares that it's cutthroat? Like let's drop the old boys. We're all friends here. Gentlemen's agreement stuff. We kind of like it." When there's a team out there that's willing to put the screws to people, right? So I don't think, in a lot of ways, I don't know that this is all that different from that, right?
Yeah, but the difference is like the Edmonton Oilers didn't like send Dylan Holloway home and say, we don't want you playing anymore, and then suddenly go, fair. We're shocked that another team gave him an offer sheet. Like, I believe me, if Bruce Cassidy for some reason had walked out on the Golden Knights, totally different scenario. If he had said, you know what, I don't like it here, I'm going home. Oh, by the way, can you give me permission to go talk to Edmonton? No, screw you. You're under contract. Where that would be totally different. They fired the guy with a couple of weeks left in the season. I'd love to know what John Tortorella thinks about this. We won't find out because A, he's afraid of the media, apparently.
Clearly.
Being the big baby that he is. And two, he wouldn't tell us honestly, at least anytime soon. But I would love to know what he thinks. He's had like 19 jobs in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in this situation before. I'm sure he's had to have permission granted to talk to him and all that stuff. I mean, he's got to think this is Bush League.
Well, he's part of the Coaches Association, and they put out a statement, right?
Yep.
Like, and the coaches, they all talk, like they all stick together. They, they're all grateful that they're making more money now because they've pushed the envelope that way. I'm sure they're not grateful that their shelf life is like 2 years, but that's the reason why, the money has to go up for all these guys. So they do stick together the same way the players do. So yeah, I think, it's hard to speculate on what he would think, but deep down, it's like you're a part of the Golden Knights, so you abide by what they're doing, but you're also a part of the Coaches Association and know that you have guys' backs the same way they have your back.
It's not going to end either. We're going to be talking about this next week. Like, this just doesn't. Well, because first off,
they'll do something else. There'll be some other piece of nonsense.
That, or this is just gonna, Kelly McCrimmon. He's just something we're gonna think about when our season's over. So that might be coming a little bit more quickly than he would like.
Yeah. I wonder what the Vegas Golden Knights have like up their sleeve next. They like it. It feels like they're the organization that says we actually can do this, and we will. We will trade for Jack Eichel. We will get Mitch Marner.
Yeah, we will
sign Carter Hart. Right?
We'll do all of it.
Like, fine. Like, live with your choices, I guess, is sort of my overall point here. It's like if you want to be the team that, that's the stickler, or the team that's willing to walk down hallways that other teams aren't, that's fine. There are going to be repercussions for that, and you have to live with them. And what we've seen from Vegas and their fan base time and time and time again is that they're not willing to do that. And that's what makes them annoying. That's it.
And they win. They win. That's why it's annoying for everyone, too, because they're successful. Yeah. Because if they did all this stuff and they were a dumpster fire, no one would care.
Nope.
But they're successful, and that's why it drives people crazy.
Frank, you're heading to Kelowna. Time to play some golf. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, calling the Memorial Cup first.
Right.
Second of all, playing some golf out there in beautiful Kelowna. It's going to be good. We got a stacked tournament. Landon DuPont's going to be there. Everett feels like the team to beat. Kitchener's been really good. Chicoutimi, a ton of firepower coming out of the queue. They beat Moncton. And Kelowna's a good team as well. TJ Ginla's, obviously a really good player, Utah prospect. So there's going to be a lot of cool storylines out there, and we got a great crew coming out for it.
It's on NHL Network in the United States, by the way. TSN in Canada, and NHL Network has it. So if you want to watch Frankie on TV, folks, that's
the O-Dogs on
go
the
find.
panel.
Love it.
Yeah.
So find channel 1080 on the quadruple elite tier that costs $400 a month to get it in American cable, because the NHL Network basically doesn't exist anymore. Okay, have a good couple of weeks, dude. We'll talk to you real soon.
See ya, boys.
Goodbye, Frankie Corrado. Hello, Sean McIndoe. My man, what have you learned?
What have we learned, Sean?
I learned that the Vancouver Canucks apparently don't want to lose Manny Malhotra. I think is the Adam Foote fired this week. Not surprising, certainly. It's rare to see an NHL coach just get one full season, but I don't think there are too many rookie head coaches that have had a full season with as many that's gone as badly as that one did in Vancouver. Certainly not all attributable to the coach. And the Canucks said as much in their statement, where they essentially acknowledged, look, we gave this guy a garbage roster to work with, but needed a new direction and all of that. And Manny Malhotra is their coach down in the AHL, a guy whose name has surfaced with some other teams that have openings, and it certainly felt like a situation where they probably would have rather let Foote have another crack at it, and then if it doesn't work, then Malhotra's your guy. But if Malhotra's not going to be there, or you're concerned about that, what you cannot do is watch him walk to some other team, and then you're firing Adam Foote in December anyways. So I think it was the right move And now, they'll talk to other, they'll certainly talk to other coaches and do the whole process, you would assume. But I think Manny Malhotra is a pretty solid favor, unless they can get permission to talk to Bruce Cassidy, in which case
they should call. Just say, why just, why
What's
not?
the harm?
What's the harm?
Yeah.
Yeah, and cool. Manny Malhotra can coach his son in the next couple of years, right? Like that seems like part of it too. Like that makes that fit with Vancouver and Caleb Malhotra would have been obvious regardless of who was coaching the team. Now it's his father. So cool. We get that set up. Yeah, I think it was Drancer who said it. It was definitely one of the Vancouver guys. As it relates to Foote, like obviously disastrous situation that he walked into. Really, it's a brutal roster. Blah blah. But his problem was that he, as identified by Drance, is like the way he coached made evaluating prospects and young players pretty difficult. Right? Like it was such a mess that they don't. What do they have in some of these guys? And that's something that just can't continue. If it's one thing to lose, it's another thing to do it in a way that doesn't teach anything about the guys you have on the roster at the start of a rebuild. And I think the fact that, it seems like that's what they were working with is that made the decision, the correct one, even, which is odd for Vancouver. Honestly, we're so used to them doing the wrong thing. It seems like they're on a streak now of two of doing the right one. So congratulations. I've learned that Alex Tuch maybe didn't cost himself any money. His agent Scott Bartlett told our buddy Greg Wyshynski from ESPN. This is a quote. "I guarantee you, it doesn't change a single thing as far as how he's viewed across the market." Because obviously Tuch had 0 points in that series against Montreal. Best forward theoretically that's gonna hit. People thinking he's gonna make $10 million, $11 million. I am of the mindset here that Scott Bartlett is correct. I think that the UFA class is so barren, and people have so much money to spend that this is gonna matter less than people were making it out to. Am I wrong about this? Like, is Alex Tuch going to get $8 million instead of 10.5 now because of those 7 games? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Although it would have been very funny if his agent had been like, "Yeah,
we're screwed.
We're screwed. He blew it. What a bum." No. So here's where I think you're right, and here's where I think there's a path to this maybe going a bit sideways. Is we don't really know what Alex Tuch wants. Out of all this. If Alex Tuch just wants to cash in, just wants the highest dollar value possible, which he has every right to do. He's been underpaid for years based on his production. This is probably his one chance to swing really big in unrestricted free agency. Yeah, go out and get the bag. We all understand how that works. And if that's what he wants, then I don't think this affects him at all, because you only need one team willing to pay. You need 2 teams to get in the bidding war to drive the price up. You don't need 32 teams. So it doesn't matter if 25 teams out there looked at the playoffs and said, "I don't like what I saw." You've still got plenty out there in a very, very weak market to drive the number up. If he's a little more picky, if he's got maybe only a couple of teams in mind, then it could, because there may be some teams that are held off a little bit by it. But I just, the fact that there's nobody out there even comparable that you can turn to. Like there's not a lot of teams out there that are like, we desperately need a top 6 forward, a guy who can play potentially on our first line. Well, Alex Tuch didn't do so great in the playoffs, so you know what? We just won't get anyone, because that's kind of the other
Bobby
option.
McMahon. Like what do we? It's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, I think he should be okay, but maybe ultimately it keeps it from getting even crazier than it might have. Because, I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if the number's higher, because it only takes one team to call on July 1st. And, of course, it's July 1st because nobody tampers, nobody's allowed to talk to free agents. But kind of maybe a team that you're not even thinking about calls up and says, "We'll do 13. Cap's going up. We got a ton of room. Come on over."
I think that's probably, maybe that's the right way to frame it, is that he could have made himself more money. Like, for sure. There's a world out there where Alex Tuch goes supernova in that series, and the Buffalo Sabres are still playing, and people are saying, is Alex Tuch going to make, $13.5 million a year? Like, that's very, very feasible.
Yeah.
So
that's the way to put it.
He cost himself money, but in that sense, but
he missed the opportunity to make himself money.
Yep.
Which I guess is costing yourself money, depending
on how you look at it. But
he's going to be okay.
I don't think the floor has changed. Like
he's not going to be thinking too hard about whether to biggie size the fries. He'll be all right.
It's like, boy,
do you think he stays in Buffalo? By the way, like I don't know. Been assuming
I have no sense. I have no sense. I did. I've always been of the mindset that he would, but also like, why hasn't the deal happened already? Maybe he was waiting to see if he was going to have a 5-goal series, in the Eastern Conference Final or something, and now everyone can move on because that didn't happen. I don't know. He makes the most sense there, but again, we live in a world where if you don't count Alex Ovechkin and Evgeny Malkin, the next best winger on the list at this point is Bobby McMahon. So I think he's going to be fine.
It might be one of those. Yeah, the agent might be begging him, like, please go to July 1 so we can see what the numbers are. Then you can circle back to Buffalo or whatever. It costs him the extra year or whatever.
Yeah, go to July 1 because of course that's the only way they're going to know what other teams are willing to pay Alex Tuch.
There's no other way to do it. And maybe the problem is just maybe Tuch's wanted to sign, but Yarmo's just so laser focused on the playoffs that he couldn't do anything else.
Yeah, it's sending emails is tough,
Very normal behavior.
What's your post today?
Got the all playoff bus team.
Oh, I read it already.
Annual. We wait till the conference final, and I got to pick a full roster with at least one player from every playoff team, and that includes the teams that are still in the conference final. So if you want to know which 4 players are going to blow up and make their Conn Smythe cases, you can check that out. Shout out to Mitch Marner for not making the team for the first time in a decade.
Congratulations. Yeah. Dude,
good for him.
The streak is over.
Yep. And beyond that, you'll have to see. But let's just say I really appreciated the photo they chose. I think they really nailed the spirit of the thing.
I didn't want to ruin it either. Got to check the site to see that. It's pretty funny. All right, bud. It's good. It's always a good day with you. And we get another one tomorrow. It's me and it's you. No Frankie. Gentili and McIndoe on Thursday. I am in Raleigh. Arpin Basu is also in Raleigh. He's our guy with the Montreal Canadiens. He's going to check in. Haley Salvian's going to be in Ottawa for a Walter Cup update. And that'll be that. So thank you folks for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy Game 1 of the Western Conference Final. And I will talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell to stay informed and catch new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And in the meantime, you can join our Discord community. We'll see you there.